Witamy Państwa ponownie, witamy Was ponownie z katowickiego spotka z European Startups Day. Witamy w studiu ING z naszym mottem wracamy. W biznesie najlepiej uczyć się na cudzych sukcesach, inspiruj, ucz się od najlepszych. I teraz właśnie będzie głos z Ameryki, ale z polskim akcentem. W naszym studiu Debbi Hoehn. Witaj Debbi.
Thank you.
Debbi od stycznia jest dyrektorem Działu Nowych Technologii w Microsoft Poland, czyli w firmie, która na świecie jest największą, właściwie jedną z największych firm technologicznych na świecie. I z Debbi Hoehn chcemy porozmawiać o tym, jak zbudować zespół, na którym można budować przyszłość. Debbi, zacznijmy po polsku, ale Państwo, Wy możecie pisać swoje pytania na naszym facebookowym profilu, na naszym fanpage'u ING Bank Śląski, pisać pytania do Debbi Hoehn i w trakcie naszej rozmowy postaramy się na nie odpowiedzieć. I zaczniemy po polsku. Jak zbudować taki dobry team, Debbi?
So I think you just asked me about building a good team.
That's good, exactly.
Oh, wow. That is amazing that I actually understood that. I'm so excited.
That's a perfect one. Yeah. How can we create a successful team at our work at the beginning?
I think that is probably the question I've spent the most time thinking about since I joined the Polish team in January. Because when I joined, I already had a team. And I thought back, because I've been asked to speak at a couple of places, mostly people asking about joining companies. What is it like? What kind of team should I look for? And looking back over my career, I think we've all had a similar experience that the best way, the most successful teams are those that have great balance. So there's a balance of skills, there's a balance of personalities. You've got people who have, they excel in different ways, but then they come together and work well.
And balance of genders?
Balance of everything. Like when we look at diversity, I always think it's interesting. We look first at what we can see.
Yeah.
We look at gender differences, we look at skin tone, and we look at age, but there's so much underneath that becomes important. So we joked in one of my old teams, we had a number of women on the team, but because we're all women of the same age with a similar background, there wasn't actually a lot of diversity in the team. So the balance really comes from looking at and understanding what does your team need to do to be successful. So that's the basic, right? Like there are certain skill sets I need to hire into my team.
And how this age diversity is important at the company, because
Yes.
in Poland lots of people think, okay, we need always young people, and experienced people, old people. We don't need it. Is it true
no.
to build successful team, to build successful company?
I don't think so. And I do think you're right. I think there's this tendency to believe that youth equals great ideas. But I think there's a balance, right? And it's the same thing. It always comes back to balance. And I don't know if it's youth versus age or if it's experience versus inexperience. But what it comes down to when I look at that, it's usually people who ask why and people who ask why not. So somebody who has more experience and has been through more, they're going to give you a good insight on probably something you've tried before, why it didn't work. But I think oftentimes the mistake we make when we have experience is we think because it didn't work, it can't work. And you need someone who hasn't gone through it before to start looking at it and saying, well, no, maybe it could work this way. And then that balance is really important. But if you have a bunch of people who don't have a lot of experience, you spend a lot more time coaching, you spend a lot more time trying things that maybe have been done before, and you lose out on that experience, that knowledge. But if you only have a bunch of experienced people working together, then you lose out on new ideas because you do the same thing over and over again. And by habit, by force of habit, because it worked before, so we'll just keep doing it.
You don't make so many mistakes.
Precisely. And so bringing those together, I think, is incredibly important.
And Debbi, you work at very big, huge company,
Yes.
not just in Poland, but worldwide.
Yes.
And we are talking today about small companies. How start, a small startup, a small company. So when we are building the team at the beginning in a small company, what we have to think about. So which rules are very important for the beginner?
The most important is to know what you need to do. And I think that's the most important rule for any startup.
And with whom?
With whom is important, but what are you trying to accomplish is most important. Because if you say, let's say you're starting a startup and it's actually a bakery, you're going to hire a baker.
Yeah.
You're not just going to go out and be like, I want a marketer. Because you can't market anything if you can't bake it, right? But you have to know what you want to accomplish. And I think that's the rule at every level of a startup, right? Because you don't have as much money, you don't have as many resources, you can't be wasteful. And so you have to be very intelligent, precisely. And then the second thing is that a person you want to spend long hours with? Because that's probably the thing that, I don't know if you've seen this in your experience, but in my experience, you can have somebody who's very talented, who's basically poison on the team, because they aren't a person that you really want to work with, and they bring other people down, or they're just hard on the team, right? So you have to have fit and talent, and I think that's most important, especially in a small company where you're spending a ton of hours together.
And how can I find these people?
I know it's crazy,
That's
but
the most important thing.
Especially like you have entrepreneurs who don't have development experience, and they're like, but I want a great developer. Yeah. And everybody wants a great developer. Or you have developers who have a great idea and they need an entrepreneur. And I don't think anyone solved that problem. It's a matter of going out. I think meeting up in communities is huge. Just talking to each other, going out to these events and networking, which puts so many people outside of their comfort area. Like, it's hard to walk up to somebody you don't know and just strike up a conversation. It doesn't matter how extroverted you are. But going out and talking to people and talking about your idea, and when someone sees the passion for your idea and they get excited, talk to that person. Figure out if they're the right person for you.
And how can I inspire my team? Is it important?
Yes, yes. I want my team to be excited to come to work every day. And I think the most important way to inspire your team is just remind them of what you're trying to do together. Why is it important?
So it's not about money, actually.
Oh my gosh. There are studies that show now that people don't even take the highest paying job anymore.
Yeah.
They take the jobs they think they're going to enjoy. They take the jobs where there are people they enjoy. They take jobs where they think they're going to have a true impact. And it's not the money. People aren't chasing money, which is what's really hard, I think, for a lot of established corporations, right? Because it used to be, if you're Microsoft, you used to have the best salaries and people would come work for you. And now we're in a generation where people aren't worried about, they know it's going to come along. If you're talented, you're going to find work. Yeah. So it's not just money anymore. It's really like, what are you doing and what impact are you having?
And Debbie, here we go, the question which is quite important for us today here on this conference. How successful teams like yours actually can support and empower new businesses and people with great ideas in going to the market?
You know, when I started working with startups, I've only been working with startups about 2 years now. And I remember meeting the first startup, and I thought, I'm going to have nothing to tell them. I've never been in a startup.
Really?
I don't have this experience. I feel so out of depth. And I realized sitting there that we all have something we can share. We all have different experiences. And sometimes it's simply listening to somebody's idea as a consumer. Would I buy your product? Would someone I know buy your product? Like, at a base level, we're all consumers. So what I expect from my team is that they're going out and they're figuring out ways that they can help a startup succeed, because those ideas and those innovations that come from startups, they're incredibly important in any market, especially in Poland right now. Poland is at a nascent level of startup community, and it is growing, and it's going to grow fast. So how can we really help and enable that? And I expect my team to help and enable that. I expect my team to also do things like, how do you introduce a startup to a customer? So they can get real feedback about whether or not that customer would buy their product, why they would or why they wouldn't. How do you introduce them to different consumers? So how do we make some of those connections that it's really hard for startups to make?
So looking for startups, new ideas, and new companies, right?
Yes, yes.
But the startups are looking for you actually as well.
Yes.
So what's important for you to help to support somebody?
For us, I think what we get out of it, I think that's what you're asking, what does my team get out of it? It's a reminder of how should you run your own business. So my team, I had one person on my team who actually just did an entrepreneurial training, and he was saying how the thing that he had forgotten being at Microsoft is, what would you do if it was your money? What if it wasn't the company's money? What if it was your money? And that attitude is something that my team gets out of working with startups, is really asking themselves, would I do this way if it was my business? Because that's what startups ask themselves every day. So for us, that's what we get out of it. And I think that's incredibly important. Obviously, there's a commercial aspect here, but I think my team's attitude isn't load someone up with technology they don't need. They really want to understand what a startup needs to be successful, and then do we have something that can help them? And maybe it's technology, but maybe it's mentoring, and maybe it's introducing them to customers. It's not just about what can we sell to a startup. Like, that doesn't work, and that's not what we do. And the people I have working on this motion, honestly, they're so much more interested in getting a successful startup and helping them grow the technology is a part of it, obviously, but the mentoring and the coaching and introducing them to people and helping them make connections is equally important to us.
It's great to hear that. And maybe let's take one question from the audience, from our Facebook audience.
I don't know, I just looked over there like we had an audience.
Actually, and that's your camera as well. Karin, asking you, what are Microsoft's expectations from its potential partners? So you told about a little bit.
That is a great question. What are our expectations? I think the biggest one that we look for from our partners is what can they do for our customers as well.
What you need, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a great motion we call ISV motion, which is so Microsoft speak that we have a title for things. But what we look for from our partners are people who are willing to listen and learn. Like if we're going to spend time coaching and working with you, being able to be a coachable person is hard, especially when it's your startup. Like you think you have all of the right answers, and maybe you do, but we can help you with some of it, right? So that's a part of it is, can we really work with you well? Are you open to working with customers? Are you open to hearing feedback? That's a huge part of a startup because when you're so close to it yourself, it's sometimes hard to take a step back and see if something you're doing is working or could be better. And I would expect every startup that we work with is open to feedback. That's a big part of it. And the second part is, how does that fit with our customers? What's the advantage our customers get from this? Because in the end, the benefit Microsoft can bring any startup is we can introduce you to customers. Do you work well with our customers? Do you listen to them? Are you responsive? What is your engagement with them? That's what I would expect from the partners we work with.
And a very briefly question, what's the best way to come to you, actually, to Microsoft Poland?
Well, you can come to us at Startberry this summer. So starting this summer, we're launching, for those who didn't see Satya here, just a few weeks ago, we launched a new startup initiative called Startberry in partnership with EY and Senfino.
Exactly. That was during the visit of Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. And what is it exactly? Can you explain it?
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm really excited about it. I'm not even going to wait for her to ask about it.
It's good.
So it's a community space. It's where we're going to bring multiple things together. It's interesting because I think this isn't a unique formula, right? Other people have done this, but we don't really have a word for it in the startup world because it's not an accelerator, it's not a co-working space, it's not a community event space. It's everything in one. Okay. So you come there, you can go now to startberry.com. We're actually going to launch it officially, go live. Our big event will be this summer. And then we will have an accelerator program, we'll have co-working spaces, we'll have events there, we'll have mentors from EY, from Senfino, from Microsoft, we'll engage other partners who are interested, maybe some of our own customers might come in and actually start working with the startups as well. I know we've heard interest from multiple partners and customers who want to be involved because they are also eager and interested to get involved in the startup space. So for us, it's about creating a place to bring startups together and help them grow. And that is the core of what we want to do. It's not about bringing startups together and having fun. It's about helping them grow and be successful.
And learn each other.
Obviously, I want them to have fun too, but it's really about making them successful.
Debbi, can we take another question from our audience?
Of course.
Alexandra is asking, it is possible for a young company to start cooperate with Microsoft? Very concrete question. How can it submit an idea to Microsoft?
Oh, come see us at an event.
And via Startberry, yeah?
Via Startberry. We are at a lot of different community events. I actually wish I had the calendar. I'll make sure that we get it out. We participate in events, for example, at the Heart in Warsaw. You can contact me at any time. My email address is debbih@microsoft.com, or you can find me on Twitter, Debbi Hoehn.
Repeat it, please.
Well, actually, let's do Twitter, probably easier because otherwise my inbox will go crazy. Debbi Hoehn. Yep,
okay.
I'm at Debbi Hoehn.
That's a good
There's
way.
no E at the end of Debbie.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll make sure to get that to you, and we'll maybe I'll tweet and I'll tag this interview. But my team is regularly involved at startup events, and if there are places where you want us to be and you don't think we are, let us know. We're very interested. We really want to be out there. I mean, we're a small team, but I'm trying also, I think what we're finding as well at Microsoft, and this is an interesting shift as well, it's not just my team that does it. It's not just my team that's interested. The whole company is really starting to rally around this idea of like, how do we engage with startups and how do we learn from them and how do we help our customers engage? So it's not just 3 people on my team, right? We're talking about within Poland, 400 people and worldwide, 100,000 Microsoft employees. So we'll do our best to be where we can be, and we'll be sure. I'll make sure that we publish where we are going to be, so people can come talk with us.
Debbi Hoehn, it was a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much.
It feels like it went so fast, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
so
Yeah.
time is running.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you for having me. Dziękuję.
Dziękuję bardzo, dziękujemy. Debbi Hoehn, dyrektor Działu Nowych Technologii Microsoft Polska, Microsoft Poland actually, była Państwa gościem, była Waszym gościem. Usłyszeliście, co trzeba, jaki trzeba znać adres, żeby napisać o swoim projekcie, żeby być może Microsoft wsparł Wasz projekt, Waszą inicjatywę, Wasz nowy startup. Znajdźcie Debbi Hoehn, jej nazwisko zobaczycie na Twitterze, I'm talking about your Twitter account, albo wyślijcie do niej e-maila, to są dwie najlepsze drogi, żeby właśnie dostać się do Microsoft Polska. Dziękujemy i do zobaczenia za kilkanaście minut na fanpage'u ING Banku Śląskiego, tutaj z katowickiego spotku z European Startup Days. Do zobaczenia.